together with Earle Sports Bets. Yeah, the twins, they be checking in, stacking up. Green is the scene that you're stepping in. Winning is a trend, and we stay making dollars. Nerd talk with the sports bet scholars. Yeah, it's R.I.P. to the bookies. R.I.P. to the bookies. R.I.P. to the bookies. R.I.P. to the bookies.
We are live. Welcome back to another edition of the Earle Sports Bet Show. My name is Nicholas Earle. It's been a while since I've said this. Joining with honorary Earle, Terry Edelman. What's going on?
Not too much. We're in a little bit of a break with no NHL, no NBA, but luckily the Four Nations tournament's going on. So two great games so far in the tournament, and I think we're going to see a really, really good one tonight. So you don't want to miss it.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait for the 8 o'clock game tonight. We'll be talking about that one second. But, yeah, we have two games in the Four Nations Faceoff. It's been awesome so far. I know you have had a really strong start to it. I've had pretty good start to it as well. I had Canada team total over the first game. I had United States puck line, and I had the Canada-USA parlay for those two for the first two games there. I'm off to a 3-0 start, but that's nothing compared to what you've done so far.
Yeah, 7-0 start for me. It's just been great. I've read the games really well. So the first night, Jesper Bratt point, I cashed the same game parlay. Sweden team total over 2.5 and the over 5.5. I got a 1 goal, and then followed that up with another same game parlay win. United States minus 1.5 against Finland, and Matthew Tkachuk anytime goal. You'll be hearing that name again later on.
Well, I know, because I remember you sent it to a group chat with Tim and I as well, and I for Tkachuk 2 goals. I wish I tailed you on that one. You cashed that in the third period alone.
Yeah, plus 2,500. That was a personal play, not one of my premium plays. That's why I didn't mention it. But I've also cashed quite a few same game parlays. It's just with the odds we're getting on players to get points because of obviously how many players are like star players in this tournament. Mm-hmm. Normally you would be seeing these players like Matthew Tkachuk, for instance. I don't know if he's still minus 120, but normally he's around minus 200 to get a point. But he's at minus 120 today. So you're getting some great odds with player props, and we'll be discussing more about that later.
Oh, yeah. If you like player props, Terry's your guy, especially when it comes to hockey. But, yeah, we'll head over to the chat, and then we will get into the first game of the card. Robert in the chat saying USA all the way. And then on the flip side, we have Coyotes going, oh, Canada. Oh, Coyote, I figured you liked this. I just got this yesterday. I figured you'd like that. My home and native land. There you go. Up 13.5 units in the Four Nations so far. Wow. Yeah, this has been an awesome tournament so far. I've really enjoyed some really high-quality hockey. And then Real Deal Prime coming in with that Canada money line. There's no other side to take. I can't wait to break that game down. But first, we do have the 1 o'clock game, puck drop between Finland and Sweden. Let's get into this one here. Sweden are around minus 220 favorites in this game, total of 5.5. This is exactly the way I thought this line would move. And that's why I bet this game before the United States-Finland game. And I got a really strong number on this one here. And when we look at this matchup, Finland and Sweden both coming in, losing their first game. Sweden picked up a point in overtime against Canada. Finland, they're holding their own until the United States blew it open in the third period with 4 goals. Before the USA-Sweden game, this line was Sweden minus 175. And then after it opened up around minus 195. It reopened 195, and now we're seeing 216s over on Bet Online. This line opened up 5.5 at plus 112 to the over before the first game, and then reopened up after the USA-Finland game at 5.5 minus 104. So we've had, and then it's now 5.5 minus 101. So we do have a juice towards the under 5.5 in this game. I kind of agree with this line being juiced towards the under 5.5, as these are two teams that I think when we get this type of matchup, they can play their style of hockey that they were unable to do against Canada and the United States just because of the pure firepower on those two squads. I think we see more of a defensive-minded game in this one. I am on Sweden -1. I got that -112 before the USA-Finland game. I punched that in this morning. That would be around -135, -138 now. So a big move from that line there. So I don't know if I can really recommend that. I think the best available bet, if I didn't have a bet already in this game that I would be looking at side or total-wise, would be Finland team total under 2.5. It's -135. If you don't mind that type of juice, I personally probably won't be on that game, or I probably won't be on that total. But if I didn't have a bet already, that's where I'd be going in this game just because of how expensive Sweden has gotten. It looks like it's going to be Gustafsson in net for the Swedish, and I believe they're switching to Lankinen for Finland for this matchup here. So, Terry, what's your thoughts on this game here, Sweden and Finland? Is there really any value on some player props? I know it's a low total, juice towards the under here.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is probably going to be a lowest scoring game. I have a feeling like a 2-1, 2-0, 3-1 type of game. I do think the under is a good look. I just don't want to take an under. I just don't want to. 5.5 is a low number. And you could have, as we saw with Finland against the U.S. Now, of course, that was much more the U.S. showing their strength than it was Finland kind of falling off. But if Finland does take a few minutes off, Sweden could score 2 goals and then in that few minutes, and then you're just in trouble. So 5.5 is such a low total here, especially with the goaltending question marks with Finland. Ultimately is going to keep me off the under. When it comes to the side, I would use Sweden as a parlay piece. I would parlay Sweden money line with something in the next game we'll talk about. Would be my way to go. But ultimately, I'm not getting to a side or total here in this one. Jesper Bratt. Jesper Bratt has been absolutely fantastic for a while now. 8 games in a row with an assist heading into the tournament. And then against Canada, beautiful pass to Joel Eriksson Ek, who scored for Minnesota. So he's continued to find a way to pass the puck to somebody else who scores, being very unselfish. Jesper Bratt has all season long. You can get him for a point. It's now moved. I got it for plus 100. It's -110 now at DraftKings for Jesper Bratt to get a point. That's a fantastic price still, -110. Normally, you'd be looking at -170, -190 for him. You don't get him for -110 to get a point very often. And then people are going to call me a homer. It's what's going to happen. But wild players. If you haven't really been paying too much attention to the tournament, you probably haven't noticed. But wild players have been absolutely dominant in this tournament so far. Jonas Brodin and Joel Eriksson Ek both scored for Team Sweden. The Gus Bus held Sweden into that game against Canada, and it went to overtime. Mm-hmm. It could have ended in a different result. Thanks to the Gus Bus, he had a very good game. And then if you look at for Team USA, Boldy scored and had an assist, and Brock Faber had an assist. So wild players have dominated in this tournament. Why is that? Because look at where they're playing. They're playing in Montreal. And if you haven't watched my shows on my channel, the Wild absolutely dominate the Habs. And what I've kind of realized here is maybe it's not so much the Wild dominate the Habs because they've been doing that for almost 10 years now. Maybe it's just that the Wild like to play in this building. They love to play in this building. So, sticking with that, give me Joel Eriksson Ek. Anytime goal, a plus 400 here. I love Jesper Bratt to get an assist. He plays with Joel Eriksson Ek and Lucas Raymond. we'll see if we can repeat history from game 1 of the tournament. Jesper Bratt passing it over to Joel Eriksson Ek. Plus 400 for Ek to find the back of the net. I absolutely love that here in this game.
Yeah, and I think the way I was kind of looking at this game, if you do like the Finland side, I think the way to approach it would be the first period. Because I have a feeling we could see something very similar to the first matchup or the first game for Finland, where they were able to hang on. They were able to hang on a little bit until late, and they faded off late. It's just because of the lack of depth that they have. I mean, you just look at their blue line. They're missing 3 of their top defensemen that they were hoping to have in this tournament. Heiskanen is a huge loss. So is Ristolainen, and I'm trying to remember Hakanpää, which made him have to settle for Vakanainen, Madden Paulo, which I think has played like 40 games for Ottawa, Yoki Harju, which did score against the United States. So if you're looking to play Finland, I would probably only look towards them in the first period rather than a full game. The only problem is the plus a half minus 166, so it'd be plus 145 for the first period money line if you're looking to do that, because I can see an opportunity where Finland scores first and you can find an opportunity to live bet Sweden. But yeah, for me, I would only look towards Finland team total under, though, is the way I would look in this game. But we'll head back to the chat and then we'll get into the exciting game for that. Robert looking at Granlund's assist at 4-1. Coyote saying he saw minus 150. Wow. Yeah. The book I bet it on, which was DraftKings, I got minus 175 and plus 145 for the money line puck line for the -1. Aho to score a goal and Aho assist. I mean, if there's going to be scoring from Finland, it's either going to come from that Aho line or the Barkov line. I don't really see the Lindell line doing anything or Eric Holland. One thing I will mention is they did bump down line A to the third line and upgraded Granlund to the second line. For those who do pay attention to line movement or to the lines, Granlund's now with Hintz and Aho instead of Lister-Reinen and Lindell. So that is one thing to keep in mind as well. What's good, Nicholas Handy? Sweden team total under, Sweden team total over. See, I would lean more towards, I love when we have conflicting opinions in the chat. I could see 3-1, 3-0. So I'd probably lean towards the under, but as somebody with Sweden -1, I hope they score 5. So they can just shut the door. Mika Zibanejad. Has he been existent at all? Not just in the Four Nations, but in the season at all? Like, he's been terrible with the Rangers this year.
Rangers fans have been calling for him to be traded, but he has had times where he has got hot. So he has had streaks that he's been on my players sheet on my show a few times, multiple times. So he has had streaks where he's kind of got hot, but not being able to be consistent long term.
Fair. William Nylander, he is somebody that I like for this tournament, and Sweden. I bet against him the first game. I'm going to be on him the next 2 games. I'm on him against Finland. I'm going to bet them against the United States. I think we get Canada versus Sweden in the finals. That's my script for the Four Nations. I think America completely misses out on it. But yes, I think William Nylander. He was somebody that I kind of hyped up to be the leading goal scorer of the tournament, and he's done really nothing so far. So. Lankinen will shut the door. One thing I'm worried about, Lankinen can have a good game. One thing I'm worried about is that blue line that Finland has in front of Lankinen. That's what I'm more concerned about than the goaltending situation itself. Eriksson Ek anytime goal. I know Terry likes that one. Aren't we in Boston today?
No.
I think we switched to
when
Boston on
Coyote
Monday.
posted that, I quickly thought, "Oh shit!" and kind of got a little bit scared. But no. The first 4 games of the tournament, so both of today's games are still in Montreal. That will change on Monday. So Monday they go to Boston for those 2 games, and the rest of the tournament, including the championship, will be in Boston. But the first 4 games are in Montreal. So the Wild players' success still matters.
Yeah. Lankinen shutout 12-1. I'm going to have to disagree with that one just because I think Finland takes care of Sweden takes care of business, but that's just me.
I think it's going to be a low scoring. I could see, like I said earlier, I could see the score being 2-0. So, but like Nick said, with the defense that's in front of Finland, but now Sweden's offense isn't as strong, obviously, nearly as strong as the U.S. and Canada. So,
yeah,
it's possible, but I don't know if we see a shutout in this tournament. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think there's too much talent for a shutout in this tournament. I think the only team that could get shut out is Finland. Like I think that's the only, because they have a good top 2 lines, and then it falls off a cliff from there. Some goalies play on their heads as underdogs. He's one. Lankinen? Yeah, he's somebody. Yeah. Okay, I was thinking we aren't in Boston for a second. Yeah, no, we're not. This is still Montreal for today's games, and then they'll make the transition for the next round, or for the final 2 games, and then the championship. Sweden scored 3 goals on Canada. Just saying. Yeah. And here's the comparison you have to make with these 2 teams. With that situation though, is Sweden scored 3 goals on Canada. Canada has better blue liners, but the goaltending situation's worse. Finland has worse blue liners, but the goalie situation's slightly better. So do we think the blue line can make up for the difference to the goaltending? I think so. I think Sweden can get 3 or 4 today, potentially. I just don't know which. On Bishop. On Binnington, yeah. But we'll make the transition to the game that everybody wants to talk about today. We have the United States and Canada. First 6.5 of the tournament. Not surprised. But we got our first 6.5 of the tournament. It's a pick'em in this game. This line opened up -106. It reopened up. Wow. It reopened up after the game around -120. It's come down. So really no line movement since the original posting. But definitely line movement since they reopened up the line after the United States game. Doesn't surprise me that it reopened up around -125, -120 on BetOnline, and it's plummeted. Everybody just saw the United States win 6-1. And that was exactly kind of what in my head what I thought would happen. Line opened up at a 6.5 +113 to the over. It reopened up at a 6, and it's come up to a 6.5. Doesn't surprise me. You look at the firepower on these rosters, and that's where we look at Canada here, and that's where I think the best group in this tournament is the forwards of Canada. I think that the only advantage I give to the United States is in net. I think the forwards, the top line is better on Canada. McDavid, Marner, and Reinhart. McKinnon, Crosby, and Stone on the second line. Cirelli, Hagel, Point on the third line. Bennett, Jarvis, Marchand on the fourth line. Marchand's on a 4th line, and he scored in that first game. One thing to keep an eye on, McCarr did not skate due to an illness yesterday in practice. I think he will play, though. So there is that. Sanheim will slip into the lineup here on the third pairing with Doughty with the injury to Theodore, which they're expecting Theodore back around playoff time. Shocker, the Vegas Golden Knights are having somebody on the LTIR till playoff time. I'm so surprised. And then the goaltending situation, I wouldn't be surprised if they go back to Binnington. I also wouldn't be surprised if they went to Hill. I don't know if have you seen a confirmed goal yet? I have not.
No, but it's going to be Binnington. From what I've heard, Cooper's not going to switch. He's not going to switch. So. But we'll see.
Which is fair. Binnington had some really nice saves in there, and some of the goals. I mean, I think the second goal that Sweden scored, he should have had that one. But there was a couple goals that Sweden scored in that game that Binnington had no shot. Very similar to like a couple of the goals that Gustafsson gave up in that game. He just had no shot on some of those goals. So I don't think Binnington played as bad as people thought he did. I'm not saying it's a strength for Canada, and I do think he'll give up some goals today. I do lean towards the over 6.5. I do kind of lean towards a team total over for Canada. But I think this will be the one game I don't bet the Canadian team total over because the goaltending for the United States, I think, is strong enough to keep this a 3-2 type of hockey game. And I wouldn't be surprised if this game went to overtime. And I was kind of scripting this out. If the NHL wants all the games to matter, Canada wins this game probably in overtime. Sweden wins. Finland tries to play spoiler for Canada, who still has something to play for, because they would have to win the final game in order to make it into the championship game. And then the United States, Sweden would decide the second team in the championship game. So that's kind of my script for the Four Nations face-off, is that Canada is going to play Finland, with Finland trying to spoil Canada's shot, but Canada is going to win that game. So the United States Sweden game has to have the winner advance type of thing. And I think Sweden wins that game, and we get Canada versus Sweden. I bet Canada the night that it was reposted at -112. That's my play in this game. I think Canada is the best team in the Four Nations tournament by a decent margin. I think the forward group and the blue line for Canada makes up the difference between the matchup and goal. And I think Canada at home here, it's a pseudo home game for them in Montreal. I think they take it here in this one. I'm on Canada at -112.
All right. Well, I'm going to start with, when it comes to the side, that is my premium play. You can get it over on Picks and Parleys, Winners and Winers. It's over there. So I'm not going to talk about who I have to actually win this game, but I will start with, as Nick was mentioning, the draw. If you've watched Canadian and United States games in the past, obviously in Olympics and stuff like that, we've seen overtime games between these two teams. You can see the odds in this game, -110 each way. I think this game's going overtime. This game just has overtime written all over it. So I got the draw for +320 in this game to go to overtime. And I'll give you two kind of reasons for each team, starting with Canada. As Nick said, the home ice advantage is a huge thing. Not only just because obviously they're playing in Canada, obviously there'll be more Canadians there, but also with political stuff that I'm not going to get into right now, is going to inflate the amount of passion that Canadians are going to have in this game. It's going to be at an all-time level because of other circumstances not involving hockey. That's all I'll say. So that's going to give Canada an extra motivation, having all those fans going absolutely crazy all night long. Why the U.S. can win? That top line. I know Nick says that Canada's top line is better, and offensively that may be the case. But what we saw with Team USA is that they are not afraid to use the body and be physical. We saw a shit ton more hits in the USA game compared to the Team Canada game. The US, obviously they changed their lines during the game against Finland, and that is when we saw everything kind of change, is when they moved Brady Tkachuk up to the top line with Eichel, and his brother Matthew Tkachuk moved Kyle Connor to the fourth line in that move. That top line of Brady Tkachuk, Matthew Tkachuk, and Jack Eichel is not going to be fun to play against at all. So Team USA has the physical advantage. Team Canada has the offensive advantage, obviously the home ice advantage. One more thing I'm going to mention there when talking about the lineups, I do not agree that Canada has the stronger defense. Losing Shea Theodore and having to put Travis Sanheim in is a loss. Drew Doughty did not look good defensively whatsoever in that first game against Sweden. So that bottom D pair is a weakness right there. Kel McCarr should play in this game. So obviously he's dealing with an illness. He's probably not going to be 100%. So I think the U.S. has the advantage with the defense and the goaltending. I think Canada definitely has the home ice advantage, definitely has the offensive advantage here in this game. Going back to bets, other than the draw in this game, my first full unit, and I'm usually, when it comes to player props, I'm a half unit guy. For the most part, most of my player props are half units. That's not the case here. Matthew Tkachuk, anytime goal, full unit play on that, plus 330. Matthew Tkachuk came into the tournament as one of the hottest goal scorers in the NHL, having scored in 7 of his last 8 games before the tournament. 2 goals and an assist in the first game against Finland. When asked about his thoughts about this game here, he said he's thought about this game for 9 years. He has been waiting to get the opportunity to face Canada. Brady Tkachuk scored 2 goals as well in the last game. Give me Brady Tkachuk anytime goal. Full unit play there, plus 400. Brady Tkachuk quoted as saying, "This is going to be the biggest game that I've ever played in my career," which is 100% true.
I was going to say he's an Ottawa Senator. He hasn't played a playoff game yet.
And that's exactly why this game is extremely important. But you can tell the motivation he's coming in with here in this game. Next up, give me Matt Boldy anytime goal. Of course, I have to take Boldy anytime goal. Scored 2 goals and an assist in the final game before the tournament, then had a goal and assist against Finland. We've seen the impact from the Wild players here. So give me Matt Boldy anytime goal, which is also plus 400. Insane value we're getting here with player props. Absolutely insane. Boldy is on a line with JT Miller and Dylan Larkin on the third line. That's an incredibly good third line. Now, of course, the lines could change here as we've not seen morning skate or anything like that. These lines are from the past game, but I don't really see US making a lot of changes after the success they had at the end of that first game there. Same game parlays. I'm going to have not pulled the trigger on it yet because I wait until after the show. McKinnon over half a point and Sidney Crosby over half a point, which is plus 106 at DraftKings. That took less than a minute to cash in game 1 with the power play there. McKinnon, Crosby, they're going to have a big impact in this game. Oh, also to mention, Crosby is 26-0 playing for Team Canada in his career. So that is huge as well. Will he be able to go to 27-0? We'll have to see. And then if you want to parlay Matthew Tkachuk and Brady Tkachuk together, you could do that. If you want to parlay Eichel point, Matthew Tkachuk point together, you could do that. Ultimately, I am waiting to see confirmed lines before or hoping that we'll get some confirmed lines sometime soon. And then I'll be looking at more same-game parlays. But I do think this is a high-scoring game. So if you want to look at the over, as Nick said, I do think this is a high-scoring game that goes to overtime. And then we'll see who's able to get that overtime goal for you, whatever team wins this game.
Yeah, I think if it does go to overtime, that's one thing. If it does go to overtime, I think that does massively favor Canada when they're able to throw McKinnon, McDavid, and McCarr on the same line for the start of overtime. 3 of the best players in hockey. I do think that edge does go to Canada a little bit if it does go to overtime.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens.
But yeah, and also I was going to mention that 26-0 number with Crosby as captain of Team Canada. He has 10 goals, 29 points, and a plus 85 goal differential in those games. So Canada, when Crosby is their captain, dominates. As much as I can't stand Sidney Crosby, he knows how to play international hockey. So it is what it is. Let's see. We got a decent amount of chat here. Coyote on Canada. Hagel to score. A bagel to score a goal. Hagel. Also, that's one thing that I saw that was one of the better lines for Canada once John Cooper made the switch was the third line for Canada. Why? Because they're all Lightning players. Hagel, Cirelli, Point. they have some chemistry on that line now. I thought that was an interesting move there by John Cooper for that one there. And it kind of makes sense. The Lightning coach partnering up the Lightning players together. Makes sense. Boldy anytime goal. Makar assist. I can definitely see that. And Crosby assist. He had 3 assists. He looked awesome in that first game. And I wouldn't be surprised if he does put up some points. If I was a player prop person, I'd probably be looking at Sidney Crosby in this game. I'd be looking at his point total or stuff like that on this one. He played bad, but stepped up once. In overtime, he was awesome because Sweden had a few really good opportunities. So was Gustafsson. Gustafsson was getting annoying as somebody who had Canada. He was in overtime. Nothing was getting by him until that Marner shot. It was ridiculous. He was on game, which makes me confident in Sweden today. If he plays anyway the same way he played against Canada, Finland's getting shut down today and pretty hard. So under, it's just tough for me to want to take an under with all the firepower on this team. My only argument, and I think, and I know Coyote, you like Canada. I think the only way this game goes under is if the United States wins. Because if this game goes under, the United States wins because Hellebuyck has a good game. I think that's the only way this one goes under. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I could see that. I don't know.
But
I could see Canada winning and staying under 2, but I don't know. I would stay away from the under in this game.
Yeah. Higgs in the chat saying the behind the scenes buzz is that a Canada loss officially makes them the 51st state. If this was the championship game, I'd be like,
laugh at this, but it's not a laughing matter because I won't comment on that.
Yeah. Canada wins today. They are in, I thought. If they win in regulation, they'll have 5 points. The United States would have 3.
If USA wins in regulation, they're in.
Yes, if USA wins in regulation, they're in. If Canada wins in regulation, they'll be up to 5 points. And depending on what happened in that Sweden game, if Sweden wins in regulation against Finland, as I believe, they'll be at 4 points. And then I believe they would have the edge over both. If Canada wins in regulation, I think they're in. Because only 3 points will be able to be given out in that United States-Sweden game. And I think the only way Canada misses is if they lose both games. Right?
I don't have the math in my head.
I'm trying to think that out in my head too. Because even if Canada wins in regulation and Sweden goes to overtime, United States would be at 5 points. Canada would be at 5 points with the tiebreaker over the United States, and Sweden would be, if they win in regulation, at 5 points, and Canada would have the advantage over them. So I think a win in regulation would clinch a spot for Canada. So yeah,
sounds about right.
Which would be nice. I put a full unit on Canada plus 150 to win the tournament. So, and a half unit on Sweden. So Canada is the best team. Yes, they are. I think they are the best team in the 4 nations. Jake Gensel goal. Jake Gensel, I think he was minus 120 to get a point in that first game on the second line with Matthews. And actually, I think he got bumped up to start the game on the first line, and then they bumped him down to the second line. Still scored a goal. That was part of the 2 goals in 11 seconds.
Yeah, I think he's still a really good price to get a point still.
Yeah,
and that's something I would look at as well. He's minus 135 now. Okay, so it's moving in.
Yeah, I think that's still within reason. Over 6.5, United States money line minus 1.4. I'm on the opposite side for that United States money line, but I wouldn't argue an over in this game with all the firepower. Now, if this was the championship game, I think I want to bet the under in the championship game. I think that's when the defensive intensity would be the highest. And these preliminary games, I think that's where we're going to see more overs. So far, we've seen 2 overs so far. I think out of the 6 preliminary games, wouldn't surprise me to see 4 or 5 go over the total. So, Canada taking the Canada first route lately. Yeah. Coyote on Finland. Yeah. Sweden puck line, United States. I like the Sweden look. United States, I am on the opposite side there. 29 points also in those 26 games. Yep, he's been ridiculously good for Canada. Hey, gents, looking for a solid college basketball favorite pick for tonight's game, say after 5 p.m. Yeah, let me get up this spreadsheet real quick. Yeah, he usually asks about college basketball. Yep.
I don't do. That's Nick's. Nick will help you. I cannot help you at all.
Yeah, it looks like the best valued late game, according to our spreadsheet, you want a favorite. Oregon State laying 13.5 against Pacific. We grade that out as should be around minus 19.5, minus 20, and we're getting 13.5 with Oregon State. So that's where we're going for that one there. Most excitement in sports since a long time. This is, yeah. I don't remember. I think the last time we had a USA-Canada game hyped up this much was the Olympics gold medal in Vancouver. That game. With the Crosby golden goal. McDavid 200. I mean, McDavid looks ridiculous in this tournament so far. Now, granted, he was doing that against Sweden. Let's see what he does against the United States. But yes. Yeah, I can see Canada getting 5. Yeah, I can see that because we sometimes see Hellebuck struggle in the big moments. And we see that in the playoffs. But usually in the playoffs, he's already played 827 games that year because Winnipeg overplays him, and he's just burnt out by the time the playoffs come around.
For what it is, I do think I said this game. I have the draw in this game. I do think it's 4-4. So
I could see 4-4.
So Canada could get 5 if they do win in overtime. I do. I think it's 4-4. Oh, 5-4. Okay, yeah.
5-4
so people think,
overtime. Yeah. Irish King saying United States in overtime. Yeah. Yeah. They better not do 4 nations every year since players won't take it seriously. I don't think they are. I think they have 4 nations this year, Olympics next year, which they'll take the Olympics seriously because there's medals on the line. And then I think in 2028 the next time we'll get something similar, and it'll be the World Cup of Hockey. It's not an every year thing, but yeah.
I would do 4 nations every year before I ever do an All-Star game ever again. I don't think we ever see an All-Star game.
This is way better than an All-Star game. However, I think the argument with that is you don't want a 2-week break every single season. That's just my thought process behind that. You don't want
also having 6 nations would be a bit better. But
yep, I think they definitely missed an opportunity this year. They could have had Team Russia, which I would have been all over Team Russia in futures if they threw together a Team Russia team. I know political reasons is why not. They're in the Olympics next year. I promise you, next year around this time, you'll see me with a Russia gold ticket in my pocket. I will be betting Russia to win the Olympics next year. So that is because I did bet them 4 years ago in Pyeongchang to win the Olympics there. And they lost in the gold medal game. That was the ROC. And I bet that before they announced that they were going to have no NHL players. And I thought even if there was no NHL players, that they should be favorites because of the KHL. So I thought there was an opportunity for Russia to be able to take over there as well. Yeah. I know next year is all the countries, but need to be every 2 years to play. Yeah, I could definitely see that argument. Yep. And that's exactly what we saw with the 3-on-3s is nobody played defense, nobody checked, and we saw what they were. 20-minute games finishing 8-7. Like, it was ridiculous. Yeah, playoff heli. Russia for sure. Yep. Being Canadian, I really appreciate your enthusiasm for hockey in the series. Not going to lie, hoping Canada wins, but man, this can go either way. Yes. As an American, as an American, I'm rooting for Canada in this game just because money talks. But yeah, I'm on the same page with you there, though. I'm hoping Canada gets the job done. I have some futures with them. So yeah, I'm hoping for Sweden versus Canada finals. How
exciting would overtime be between these two teams, though?
It would be awesome. And we have the 10-minute overtime rule. Where you'd be able to get a matchup with McDavid, McKinnon, and Makar on one side, and Tkachuk
and Werenski.
Tkachuk and Werenski. I mean, that's a fun matchup. or Kachuk with Matthews and Werenski as well. I think that's somebody you can throw in there as well. USA with the 3-point win is basically in the finals. Yep, they will clinch. They will clinch there. I'm seeing some indication this morning that Makar isn't the only sick Canadian player dealing with an illness. If no Makar with no Theodore already, yeah, I think I'm in trouble if there's no Makar. I do. So I think that I think if Makar's ruled out, probably the over's in play. Even more. Even though he's more of an offensive-minded defenseman, the hit that the blue line will be taken from Canada, I think that'll really hurt.
He should play.
USA wins.
I'd be shocked if Makar doesn't play. Now,
yes,
he's not going to be anywhere near 100% though. That's the thing.
Yeah,
so he may not look his normal self. But.
Yeah, unless he has a flu game like MJ did. But yeah, I get you. There's a sense of pride here. I love it. Yeah. I'm rooting for Canada as an American. Yep. Go my bets. Yes, money talks. Also, I'm not the biggest fan of the USA right now, but that's a different story. USA is stacked. They can win it all. They very well could. They were co-favorites for a reason. Both Canada and the United States were plus 150 heading into this tournament. I just thought Canada was better, and I saw a bigger edge on Canada to win the thing. So that's why I put a unit on Canada plus 150, and also sprinkled just have a long shot at plus 450 with Sweden. Because I thought Sweden was definitely the better long shot against Finland. However, if Finland had Hakanpää and Heiskanen and Ristolainen, I think there would have been a little bit better of a shot with Finland. But that is it. Well, that's the full card. We somehow stretched 2 games out to 43 minutes or 42 minutes. So good job. Anything you like to mention before we head on out?
No, not really. Best luck today, everyone. Enjoy the games. It's going to be, I think the first game is going to be like lower scoring, obviously, maybe not as exciting. But I think tonight's game is going to be a thriller game to watch.
Oh yeah, it's going to be awesome. I think the first game is just an appetizer for the final for the night game. I can't wait to sit in front of my TV for 3 hours to watch Canada, the United States tonight. So, but that is going to do it for this one. If you guys have not already, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel if you guys have not already. If you guys have not already, be sure to also check out Let's Go Wild Picks over on YouTube. I appreciate Terry hopping on, talk some Four Nations Faceoff this morning with me for tonight's games. But that is going to wrap it up for this one. I want to thank you guys as always for watching, and we'll catch you guys same time, same place tomorrow for another edition of the Earle Sports Bet Show. Good luck, everyone.